Now I'm going to read you Puss in Boots. I love this story because I have a little song that I sing to my little grannies about it. Puss in Boots. I must show you his little hat. Look at his hat. Isn't that cool? A little pink one. Once there was a miller who, when he died, had nothing to leave his children but his mill, his donkey, and his cat. The property was soon divided without involving a lawyer or a judge, since their fees would have taken the whole meagre inheritance. The eldest son had the mill, the second son had the donkey, and the youngest had only the cat. The third son was not happy with such a small inheritance. My brothers can earn an honest living by working together, he said, but as for me, once I have eaten the cat and made myself a scarf out of his skin, what shall I do? The cat overheard his speech and drew himself up in a dignified manner. Don't worry, my master. You only need to give me a drawstring bag and have a pair of boots made for me so that I can go through thick undergrowth, and you will see that you are not half as badly off as you thought. Although the cat's master did not have much confidence in this promise, he decided he would try anything to escape being poor. And after all, he had seen his cat perform cunning tricks in order to catch rats and mice. When the cat was given what he had asked for, he put on his boots. Then he put some grain and lettuce in the bag, slung the bag over his shoulder, and set off for a den where he knew there was a large number of rabbits. There he stretched out on the ground as if he were dead, and then waited for some young innocent rabbit to go into his bag to eat the bait. He had no sooner laid down when his plan worked. A young rabbit was tempted into the bag, where the clever cat trapped it by immediately pulling the drawstrings. Very proud of his catch, he went to the palace to seek an audience with the king. He was taken to his majesty's room, where he bowed deeply and said, "Majesty, here is a wild rabbit I am commanded to present to you in the name of the Marquis de Carabas." This was the name he had made up for his master. "Well, tell your master that I am very pleased, and that I thank him," replied the king. A few days later the cat hid in a wheat field and set his trap again, and when two partridges wandered into the bag, he pulled the strings and caught them both. Then he went to the king as he had done with the wild rabbit. The king accepted the two partridges with great pleasure and gave the cat something to drink. The cat continued in this way for 2 or 3 months, visiting the king from time to time to take him game, supposedly from his master's hunting. One day, when he heard that the king was going for a drive along the river bank with his daughter, the most beautiful princess in the world, the cat said to his master, "If you would follow my advice, your fortune is made. You only have to bathe in the river at the place I will show you, and then let me do the rest." Well, the young man did what his cat advised him, although he wondered what good it would do him. And while he was bathing, the king passed by, and the cat started to shout at the top of his voice, "Help! Help! My master, the Marquis de Carabas, is drowning here." So there you go. There is the cat, and there's his master bathing in the water. And the cat is shouting out to the king as he goes past that his master is drowning. When the king heard this cry, he put his head out of the carriage window and recognized the cat who had brought him game so many times. He ordered his guards to rescue the Marquis. Well, while the poor young man was being pulled out of the river, the cat approached the carriage and told the king that some wicked thieves had stolen his master's clothes. The cat had, in fact, hidden them under a big stone. The king immediately ordered his master of the wardrobe to pick out one of his most beautiful suits for the Marquis de Carabas. The king paid the young man a lot of attention, and the beautiful clothes that were given to him emphasized his handsome face and his figure. The king's daughter admired him a great deal. Indeed, it wasn't long before she was completely in love with him. The king invited the Marquis to get into the carriage to join them for the rest of their trip. The cat was delighted to see that his plan had started to work, but there was still a great deal to do. He ran on ahead and soon came across some farmers cutting hay in a meadow. "Listen, farmers," he said, "if you do not tell the king that the field you are working in belongs to the Marquis de Carabas, you will all be chopped up as fine as meat for hamburgers." Sure enough, when the king arrived, he asked the farmers whose field they were working on. "It belongs to the Marquis de Carabas," they all replied. "Well, you have a considerable inheritance there," said the king. to the Marquis de Carabas, and as you see, Majesty, it is a meadow which provides for an abundant crop every single year." And said the young man, although he had been truly astonished by the words. The ingenious cat, still walking ahead, next encountered some harvesters and told them, "I'll just show you the harvesters first, shall I? See, they're harvesting the wheat." Okay. And he told them, "Listen, harvesters, if you do not say that all this wheat belongs to the Marquis de Carabas, you will be ground up as fine as meat for hamburgers." And the king, who passed by a moment later, asked to whom all the wheat belonged. "It belongs to the Marquis de Carabas," answered the harvesters, and the king was even more delighted with the young man. The cat, who walked well ahead of the carriage, kept on saying the same thing to everyone he encountered, and the king was astonished to see the immense wealth of the Marquis de Carabas. Finally, the artful cat arrived at a beautiful castle belonging to an ogre. Indeed, all the land the king had been driving through was part of the estate of this castle. The cat knew this and asked to speak to the ogre. The ogre received him as courteously as an ogre can and asked him to sit down. And here is the ogre sitting in his castle, nicely dressed. Okay, so the cat is now being asked to sit down and talk to him. "I have been informed," said the cat, "that you possess the gift of being able to change yourself into all sorts of animals, that you could transform yourself, for example, into a lion or an elephant." "Well, that's true," answered the ogre brusquely, "and just to show you, I will change into a lion." The cat was so terrified to see a lion before him that he jumped for the nearest rafter to reach the safety of the roof, but the boots he was wearing made it difficult and dangerous. Here we go. This is the lion. Can you see? The ogre had changed himself into a lion. That's a huge lion, isn't it? And there's the pussy cat. Can you see him? Oh, he jumped out the window. He was so worried about getting caught by the lion. Let's have a look. He's worried about his boots for some reason. And when the ogre had changed back again, he came down and licked his ruffled fur. "Look, I've also been informed," continued the cat, "that you also have the power to take the form of smaller animals. For example, that you can change yourself into a rat or a mouse. I find this almost impossible to believe." "Impossible? Wait and see," exclaimed the ogre, and at once he changed himself into a mouse and started running across the floor. Well, the cat no sooner saw the mouse than he pounced, caught, and ate it. In the meantime, the king had arrived at the ogre's castle and wanted to call on the owner. Hearing the sound of the carriage rumbling across the drawbridge, the cat ran towards it and said to the king, "Your Majesty, welcome to the castle of the Marquis de Carabas." "What? Monsieur le Marquis," cried the king, "the castle also belongs to you? I've never seen anything more beautiful than this courtyard and all the buildings around it. Let's see inside, please." The young man gave the princess his hand and followed the king into a large room where a magnificent meal was laid out. So there is the young man taking the little princess by the hand and helping her out of the carriage so they can all go into this castle that he's supposed to own. The ogre had had this meal prepared for his friends who should have been visiting them that day, but who had not dared to approach the castle, knowing the king was there. Both the king and his daughter were quite charmed by the excellent qualities of the Marquis de Carabas. Having also seen all the wealth the Marquis possessed, the king at last said to him, "I see no reason why, if you agree, you should not be my son-in-law, Monsieur le Marquis." The Marquis, bowing low, he accepted the honour the king did him, and that very day he married the princess, and the clever cat was given the title Great Lord, and never again ran after mice, except for fun. And look at his lovely boots. They matched his hat. Can you see his boots? How wonderful to have lovely pink boots like that matched his hat. And now he doesn't have to do anything the rest of his life because he helped his master, who was the third son, get more in the world than he ever had before. Isn't that wonderful? And all because The master decided to trust the cat and do what he said, give him some boots and a little jacket and pants to wear and a cap and a little grain seed pack on the back so that he could follow around and catch all those birds and animals and all the things that he took off to the other king in the other district. Isn't that wonderful? What a wonderful friend he turned out to be. Are you a good friend like that?